I saw a video not too long ago where there was a martial arts instructor, one whom I have a pretty good deal of respect for on YouTube, and he titled his video "Never Punch in a Street Fight." And his primary reason for this was that you can damage your hand if it's not accurate. You could hit the wrong part of your opponent's body, such as the crown of the head, if you will, or the bony part of a person's face, and or even the individual's teeth, and cut your hand and so forth. Let me say this: uh, that does bear some truth, but it's not a good philosophy for all that study the art of fighting or even study self-defense. The reason I say this is because what works for one may not work for another. There are people who have engaged in street fights from a self-defense standpoint who have done exceptionally well in the street fight using their fist. So to say that you should never punch in a street fight has almost everything to do with whether or not you've been trained to use your fist in martial arts or even in boxing. Are you going to say to the boxer, a guy that works out in the gym who spends countless hours in the ring using his fist as part of that particular art, are you going to tell him not to use his fist in a street fight? We'll see how well he does with that. It's not going to happen. So a boxer is going to use his fist in a street fight. A guy that does Muay Thai is going to use his fist along with his knees and elbows in the street fight if it came down to it. So the gentleman that I'm referring to, I don't need to mention him by name, but he studies Wing Chun. Now, all of Wing Chun's techniques are not open hands. There's Chung Choi, the sun fist. That's a punch. So are you saying that that punch is not applicable in a street confrontation? If you're saying that, and I'm not talking about this gentleman who did the video, I'm just saying in general, across the board, you can and you should use your fist in the street confrontation when appropriate. I, in defense of this young man, as it relates to the open hand, I feel that I'm more comfortable using my open hand strikes in the street confrontation because number one, less injury. Number two, I'm accustomed to doing it from training. And number three, you can control your opponent better with your hands open. So, Tan Sao, open hand, spear hand, knife hand, knife hand, palm strike. You can fan techniques away with your open hand and control energy, that of your opponents. And then you can counter with a strike, open or closed fist. So I believe it just depends on the individual. It depends on the man or the woman. Now, I don't advocate that women punch in a street fight as a rule, especially against a much heavier adversary, such as a man for the most part, because in most instances, she's not going to win that fight trying to go mano a mano with a man using her fist. I'm a proponent of striking vital targets, especially if you are a woman. Eye gouges, throat, nose, groin, ribs if you can get to them. If the man is exposed where you can strike his ribs and so forth. And pulling hair if he has hair. Anything to get him off of you and get out of the situation. But don't ever try to fight a man if you're a woman, with just your fist. I've never in my experience in the martial arts found many women, not to say that there are not any out there, but I haven't found many women that have the type of power through a punch that they can fail or stop a man who's much larger than them. So for men fighting men, I still prefer the open hand. I study Bagua, Zhang, and Tai Chi on some level. I study Zui Quan, or drunken boxing, if you will, in addition to the karate that I've studied, and the jiu-jitsu that I've studied. And all of those things have been kindly synthesized for me, and they work for me. And as I said, when your hands are open, you can control your opponent more as it relates to trapping and manipulation. So, in my conclusion, should you not use the closed fist in a street fight? It depends on the individual's personal training. It depends on your experience in fighting. It depends on your particular study or field of study in martial arts, if you studied martial arts. So if that's what you are accustomed to and it works for you, then you can't take that away from the individual. There are some people who are very, very comfortable using their fist, and it's the most common tool that's used in a street fight. So I would never tell anyone never punch in a street fight, but I would use punches in a street fight if it were myself, but it would be heavily, heavily supported by my open hand strikes and my trapping as well. This is Brother Teacher's take on it. All right, take care. Leave your comment in the comment section below, and so long.